The final bell rang at 3:15 on a Friday in 1985, and something happened that no kid today will ever feel. It wasn't just a weekend beginning, it was a switch flipping somewhere deep in your chest. For the next few hours, you were completely free. No phone tracking your location, no parent one text away, no way for anyone on earth to reach you the second you walked out that door. Friday night in the 1980s was a kind of freedom that has quietly vanished from the world, and if you lived it, you remember exactly how it felt. The feeling started building before you even got home. You could sense it in the classroom that afternoon, the whole room electric with restlessness. The teacher was talking, but nobody was listening. You were watching the clock, counting the minutes, already living in the night ahead. And when that bell finally rang, you exploded out the doors with everyone else, a flood of kids hitting the fresh air like it was the first breath of a whole new life. 2 days of freedom stretched out in front of you. But Friday night was the crown jewel of it all. Friday night was sacred. The walk or bus ride home felt different than any other day. The light was golden. The air smelled like cut grass and possibility. You had plans, or you were about to make them, and the whole evening was a blank page waiting to be filled. When you got home, you dropped your backpack by the door and did not touch it again until Sunday. Homework could wait. Homework always waited. This was not the time. The first order of business was the phone. That heavy phone bolted to the kitchen wall with the coiled cord you stretched around the corner for privacy. You dialed your best friend's number from memory because you knew it by heart, the way you knew a dozen other numbers by heart, and the two of you started plotting. What were you doing tonight? Whose house? Was anyone's parents going out? Did somebody get the new game? The plans changed 5 times in an hour. You called back and forth, tying up the family line until your dad yelled that he was expecting a call and you had to hang up. But by then, the shape of the night had formed. Dinner on a Friday was special because it broke the rules. Nobody wanted to cook after a long week, and you did not want them to. This was pizza night. Your mom called Domino's or Pizza Hut, and the whole family gathered around the promise of a knock at the door in 30 minutes or less. When that delivery car pulled into the driveway, kids came running. The smell of the cardboard box opening was the smell of the weekend itself. Or maybe it was a run to the drive-thru, everyone shouting orders from the back seat, the paper bags warm on your lap on the ride home. However it happened, Friday dinner tasted like freedom. And then came the ritual that defined Friday night for an entire generation, the trip to the video store. You piled into the car and you drove to Blockbuster, or the local mom and pop rental place with the flickering sign. Walking through those doors was an event. The bright fluorescent lights, the endless walls of VHS boxes with their colorful covers begging to be picked up. You walked the aisles slowly, reading the backs of the boxes, holding 2 or 3, weighing them against each other like the most important decision of your life. The new releases wall was the battleground. But when you found a copy of the film you had been dying to see, sitting there waiting just for you, that was pure triumph. You clutched it like treasure all the way to the register. You grabbed snacks too, a box of microwave popcorn, some candy from the rack by the counter, maybe a 2-liter of soda, and the whole family, or the whole group of friends, headed home to gather around the television. There was no pausing to grab a drink, so you planned ahead. There was no rewinding to catch a line you missed, so you shut up and paid attention. And when the movie ended, you rewound the tape yourself because you were not a monster, and you knew someone else wanted to watch it Saturday. Be kind, rewind. That was the code. For the kids who stayed in, Friday night television was its own world. The networks knew families were home, and they loaded the lineup with shows built to be watched together on the living room couch. You had your programs, and you did not miss them, because if you missed them, they were gone. There was no watching it later. The whole family crowded onto the sectional sofa, someone fighting for the good spot, someone hogging the remote, the glow of the screen lighting up the room, sitcoms that made everyone laugh at the same moment, that shared laughter filling the house. It sounds small now. Back then it was everything. But if you were a teenager, staying in was not always the plan. Friday night was when you got out into the world, and the center of that world, for so many kids, was the mall. Your mom dropped you off at the entrance, and for a few hours you had the run of the place with your friends, no parents in sight, allowance money burning a hole in your pocket. The mall on a Friday night was alive. Kids from every school in the area, all wandering the same tiled corridors, seeing and being seen. You walked in packs. You flirted awkwardly with kids you had never met. You browsed the record store, listening on the headphones bolted to the wall. You tried on sunglasses you could not afford and sprayed cologne you would never buy. The food court was your headquarters, a slice of pizza and an orange Julius, a bench to sit on and watch the whole social universe pass by. The mall was not about shopping, it was the town square. It was where the night began, and the arcade. The arcade on a Friday night was a cathedral of noise and light, dark, loud, glowing, alive with the bleeps and explosions of a dozen machines and the constant clatter of quarters. You walked in with a pocket full of coins and a plan to make them last, and you walked out an hour later with empty pockets and no regrets. Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Galaga, and the crowd that gathered when somebody got hot, running up a score, drawing a circle of kids watching over his shoulder. Getting your 3 initials onto the high score list meant something. It meant that on Monday, everyone would know. It was immortality, at least until someone knocked you off. For the older kids, the ones with a license in a car, Friday night meant cruising. You piled 4 or 5 friends into whatever car you could get, windows down, tape deck blasting, and you just drove. There was nowhere in particular to go. That was the whole point. You drove the same loop through town that everyone drove, past the burger joint, around the parking lot, honking at cars full of people you knew, pulling up alongside them at red lights to yell across the lanes. Gas was cheap. Time was endless. The night felt infinite. You had a full tank, a car full of friends, and a whole town spread out in front of you, and for those few hours it belonged entirely to you. And the music. The music was the soundtrack to all of it. It poured out of car stereos and boom boxes and bedroom radios. You made a mixtape for the night, hours of work, sitting by the radio with your finger hovering over the record button, waiting for the DJ to play your song and cursing when he talked over the intro. The right song at the right moment could make a whole night unforgettable. A slow song at the school dance, a loud one in the car with the windows down. Music was not background then, it was identity. What played on Friday night was who you were. Because sometimes Friday night was the dance. The school gym transformed, the lights turned low, streamers on the walls, a DJ or a local band in the corner. You spent an hour getting ready, agonizing over what to wear, the big hair and the bold colors and the jacket with the collar turned up. And then you stood on one side of the gym with your friends, working up the courage to cross the floor, your heart pounding when the slow song finally came on. Those few minutes of dancing with someone you liked, hands on shoulders, swaying awkwardly under the paper decorations, felt more important than anything in the entire world. You would remember it for the rest of your life, and you did not even know it yet. Or maybe Friday night was the football game under the lights, The whole town in the bleachers on a cool autumn evening. The marching band and the smell of the concession stand and the roar of the crowd. High school football on a Friday night was a ritual that pulled everyone together. Kids and parents and grandparents and the players' little brothers running around underneath the stands. You did not even have to care about football. You went because everyone went. You went because that was where the night was happening. Then there was the roller rink, which for a whole stretch of kids was the beating heart of Friday night. You paid your admission, laced up the rental skates that 1,000 feet had worn before yours, and rolled out onto that polished wooden floor under a spinning disco ball. The music was loud, the lights were low and colored, and the whole social drama of your young life played out in circles around that rink. The couples skate when they dimmed the lights and slowed the music, and you either found the courage to ask someone to skate with you or you clung to the rail and watched, wishing you had. The speed skaters showing off, weaving through the crowd, the snack bar nachos and the arcade games tucked in the corner. You skated until your feet ached and your face hurt from laughing, and when your mom pulled up outside to take you home, you begged for one more lap, just one more. And for some, Friday night meant the drive-in theater if your town still had one. Back in the station wagon into the gravel lot, hooking the crackling speaker onto the window, spreading blankets in the back and watching a movie under the open sky. Kids in pajamas falling asleep before the second feature, teenagers in the back rows for entirely different reasons. It was already becoming a fading tradition, but on a warm summer Friday, there was nothing else like it. What tied all of it together was a feeling that is almost impossible to explain to anyone who did not live it. You were unreachable. Once you left the house, you were gone. Your parents did not know exactly where you were, and they did not need to. The rule was simple: be home by a certain time. What happened in between was yours and yours alone. There was no phone buzzing in your pocket, no location dot on a map, no group chat blowing up, no photos being taken that would exist forever. You made a plan, you showed up, and you lived it, present and free, with the people right in front of you. If plans changed, you found a payphone and dropped in a quarter. That was it. That was the whole safety net, and somehow it was enough. The night stretched on and on the way only a Friday night could. Because Saturday was coming, and there was nothing you had to do the next morning, time itself seemed to slow down. You stayed up late. You watched a second movie. You sat on someone's porch and talked about nothing until the streets went quiet and the porch lights flicked off one by one. You rode your bike home under the street lights with the cool air on your face, exhausted and happy, replaying the whole night in your head, already thinking about Saturday. The world was asleep and you were awake in it, and it felt like the night might never end. And here's the thing you understand only now, looking back. You did not know how rare it was. You thought every generation would get this. You thought Friday night would always feel this way. The freedom and the slowness and the wide open hours with no screen pulling at your attention, no way to be anywhere but exactly where you stood. You did not know you were living in the last days of something. The last era when a kid could vanish into a Friday night and simply be gone, untracked, unreachable, and completely, perfectly free. Those Friday nights are gone now. The video store is a memory. The arcade became a phone store. The mall sits half empty. And the kids of today, glowing screens in hand, will never know what it felt like to walk out the door on a Friday and disappear into a night that belonged entirely to them. But if you lived it, you still carry it. And on a quiet evening, when the light turns golden and the air smells like cut grass, you close your eyes and you are back there, 17 years old, the whole weekend ahead of you, the tank full and the radio loud and the streetlights just beginning to hum. If you remember those Friday nights, hold on to them, and share this with someone who was there. We were lucky. We just did not know it yet.